Welcome to this very special edition of the KAJ Masterclass Live, the show which ensures that you profit from your time spent here with experts, either through their industry insights, information, or simply learning from them. And today we have Josiah Pledl. He is the Senior Leadership Development Professional, Executive Coach, founder of 45 Degrees Leadership Development Consulting. Welcome to the show, Josiah.
Thank you so much for having me here today, AJ. I'm so excited to be live with you.
You are welcome to the show, Josiah. You are welcome to India in this online form. And I'm sure not just in India, but a lot of people across the globe will benefit from what we are going to discuss right now. We'll be talking about unlocking heart-centered leadership. So first, to understand from you, what is this heart-centered leadership that you talk about, Josiah?
So it comes down to a couple things, AJ. Right now, we're in a leadership crisis, not only here in the United States, but across the world, in that people do not want to accept the risk and responsibility of leading today. And that's driven by fear of failure, fear of judgment, fear of how complex the world is right now, fear of how uncertain things can be in leadership positions. And so you take that climate and the fact that people are just different after 2020 and the global pandemic, and we need each other more than ever. And you add to that the changes in the labor force. When you look specifically at the United States, and it kind of tracks across the rest of the globe, is that way back when the value you brought to the labor market was physical and what labor you could provide with your body. And over time, then it shifted to the head. And you see that with the internet and the .com bubble and all those things. And we're at a critical point right now because the need for leadership with artificial intelligence coming on so fast, and just the way things can be automated and the increased efficiency and the instant competency that can be brought by AI, that there's a new demand for leadership to meet this crisis. And that is leadership that comes from the heart. And leaders who can connect their head to their heart and execute emotional intelligence rather than just talk about it are the ones that are going to win big today, tomorrow, in the United States, in India, and across the rest of the globe, AJ.
Right, Josiah. So to understand this leadership crisis, is it that leaders are reluctant to take over those positions, or is it that people have lost their trust in them, and that is why they are coming out with this whole new, subject of that we don't want to take positions, whereas a lot of people do want this. And because who doesn't want those big positions? Whether that leads to great resignation, quiet quitting is another matter. I want to understand, dig deep into the heart of this particular matter.
So to answer your question, AJ, it's yes to all of those things. Is that what I'm experiencing and working with companies is a whole new level of people saying, I don't want to lead. I don't want to deal with the politics. I don't want to deal with the stress. I don't want to deal with the people problems. I want to show up. I want to do my job. I want to earn a living, and I want to go home and leave work at work and be present and, work-life balance, all these things that we keep hearing more about. And so because of that, people are avoiding anything that has to do with leading other people. And so that's for sure a piece of it. I think the other part is trust, and trust is you can look at all the research. Trust is the number one factor of a high performing team. There are multiple leaders and thought leaders in leadership that have talked about that. Some have committed their whole career to that, like Stephen Covey, in inspiring and engaging people and building trust. And so when people have been, on the wrong end of kind of negative experiences from leaders or serving as leaders, you get apprehensive. You don't want to engage. You don't want to accept that responsibility. And so I can speak specifically to the U.S. We are seeing people at younger ages, kids that, in American football, which is different than football across the globe, but the quarterback is the main person that makes all the decisions, the leader on the field. And you see kids in the youth levels not wanting to play quarterback because they don't want to be making the decisions. And that just goes on and on. And it's at the youth levels, and it goes into the world of work. Specifically here, I would love to hear what your experience in India with, cricket or the other games that that you guys love to play? And are kids signing up to play those key leadership positions, or is it more I just want to be a part of something and kind of have fun?
Right, right. In India, it's cricket, more of cricket. And though there are other games also with people, but cricket is what people follow a lot. And cricket, you see, Indians know a lot about cricket, and one has an opinion on cricket. But yes, in terms of captainship, it is a very different matter. People have been succeeded a lot in that. Some players have succeeded more. Some very good players have not succeeded that much, and many a times, they feel that it is better to remain a good player and concentrate on their game rather than, get to the decision making part. It all depends on individual to individual, but we have had very, very good captains in the last 10-15 years, and that has changed the face of the game. That is why Indian cricket is so successful at the moment, not only bringing in a lot of players from outside, but also bringing in a lot of money here and for everyone else. So that's the state of the game. But in terms of leadership crisis, here we don't have leadership crisis in terms of cricket, but in terms of leadership crisis, why do you believe there is a crisis of leadership? And the main thing is, how do we find an answer to this crisis if you say it is a crisis?
So in the short of it, look at the situations across the globe, the geopolitical issues that are happening, the challenges all over the place. When I look at in my beloved United States of America, I don't want to get political, AJ, but the candidates that we have for the highest leadership position don't really strike me as great leaders. And so I don't know where else you have to look than, who's running for president of the United States of America, what their background is, what their ability is to lead, and think that there's more to be desired in leadership. And so to fix that, I'm here, and with 45 Degrees Leadership, I equip leaders on how to build connection. And it starts with communication. And so that is the root of leadership. That's the foundation of leadership. Leaders who are successful communicate well. Leaders who are not successful do not communicate well. And so when you can begin to lead to inspire, to lead to engage, and then communicate to connect, you start to equip people with actionable tools. And the frameworks that I've created provide people with a simple 5-step process on how to communicate to connect that allows them to execute emotional intelligence, that allows them to build trust, to inspire others, and to take away the loneliness of leadership, because you're building a team that trusts, believes, is aligned, and has clarity as they are moving to achieve a common good. And when you get leaders to understand that it's about impact and how you show up and impact others, and here are the tools to lead that impact and execute that impact, you start to get people that are more interested in stepping up, embracing the leadership positions, and driving organizations forward by the power of human connection.
Right, right. So in terms of leaders, why do they find leading so hard today? Is it their problem, or is it the problem of the people they are, supposed to lead?
So that's a great question, AJ. So first off, it's always the leader's problem. As a leader, whether it's good or bad, you own everything. You own the wins, you own the losses, you own the good, the bad, and everything in between. And that's the reality of leadership. And if you don't embrace that, you will never be successful as a leader. And that's the harsh truth. The second piece of that question is that the people are the people. And so often people that rise to leadership positions have been a great individual contributor. They can execute tasks, they can complete, they can deliver. But when you get to a leadership position, you're no longer executing. You're no longer driving the results by yourself. You are now tasked with driving results through other people. And that's a very, very different dynamic than completing tasks and adding value as an individual contributor. And so when you put those two things together, you have a choice, AJ. I hear all the time about Gen Z and they lack work ethic. They're not committed. They're all about passion, all these negative things. And Gen Z is rapidly taking over the baby boomers in the labor force, and it is happening fast, and it's happening now. And so you have a choice. You can either continue to complain about the people you lead and their shortcomings and wait for all of those people and those generations to completely change to meet your expectations, or you can accept the fact that you need to change because the results are up to you, and they're dependent on you driving the results through others that may have different beliefs, opinions, and values than you do because of the generational difference. And so you own the fact that you're going to change and you're going to lead to your people rather than expecting your people to follow to your leadership.
Right, right, Josiah. Now let's look at the leadership, the trust part of. Trust is very important for anything, especially for a leader. Now, how do you see what is the state of trustworthiness of the leaders that we have together today, especially in corporate leadership? That is one thing. Who is responsible for it? Is it they themselves, or somebody else has conspired against them to bring them to this level? They can't blame others. I want to understand. Then now, what you have answered this part of the question, and also now that it has happened, how can they build back that trust, especially in today's environment when people are not meeting much, even when they are in the sitting next by next side, they are writing emails to each other on other methods of communication. Help us with that.
Well, that's the sad reality, AJ, is they say with social media and the internet and email and digital messaging that we're more connected than ever. And I disagree with that. What you said is exactly true. I can see two people in a restaurant sitting at a table and both are looking at their device rather than looking at each other. And so we need each other. We need to connect. We are hardwired physiologically to connect with people. We need each other. And so when you look at trust, trust has been eroded in so many different ways. There's specifically in the United States, the institutions, in the media, in faith, in the nuclear family, all of these institutions that we've trusted for so long are being questioned and, quite frankly, in a lot of ways being attacked. And so when you look at the need for trust, we need trust in order. Anytime we're interacting with another human, if you don't have trust, you do not have anything. And so what I've created is a leadership model that is rooted in the old saying of people don't care how much you know until they know how much you care. And in that, competence still matters, AJ. You have to know what you're doing in order to lead, in order to get people to trust you. But it's different than what it used to be. And the fact that competence used to be what got people leadership positions. You could execute the task, you knew what you were doing, and you rose the ranks. And so competence still matters, but it's different today. And I'm going to tell you why. At the base of my leadership model is connection, which that's an awareness of yourself and an awareness of others. And once you have that awareness, you have to spend time. You have to give accessibility and visibility to you as a leader to move that connection to something a little bit more powerful that's called chemistry. And when you have chemistry, you know how somebody's going to act before they even act. You know what they're going to say before they even start to speak. And once you built the connection and leveled that up to chemistry, now you can share your competence. Now somebody is in a position to listen to your expertise. And so you always have to lead with connection in order to allow people to get to the spot where they can hear, listen, understand, and want to execute your competence. And so that's the leadership model, AJ. And what I want to tell you is that at the same time as creating that leadership model, I've also created a formula on how to build trust. You want to hear what that is?
Yes, please.
So the formula for trust, let me know if this sounds familiar to you. Connection plus chemistry plus competence.
Right.
That's
Connection, chemistry, and competence.
That's the leadership model. It's the same leadership model that is the same as the equation on how you build trust with other human beings. And so that's the framework that I teach people on how to lead, how to connect their head to their heart. And then the communication framework is how you execute every human interaction to continue to implement and execute that, to bring others along with you, to get them to achieve the results that your organization and team can be proud of.
Right, Josiah. So, are there any conditions that that if the leader has these three important traits, then it will work effectively in any environment. Are there conditions that others also have to be somewhat like that, or they can be pure adversarial and still this sort of thing will work? Because they have some leadership have created that sort of an adversarial atmosphere in workplaces.
Yeah, and if I could tell you this would work every single time, I wouldn't be on your podcast right now. I'd be in Dubai, right? Like I'd have my own island off, some other country where I'd be just living it up and enjoying life if this truly worked every time. But the reality is that whenever there are people involved, there are so many variables. And I will promise you this: if you lead with connection and then build chemistry before sharing your competence, you are going to increase. I'm not going to guarantee, but I guarantee that you will increase your ability to engage others, which then it becomes up to you. Once you have their engagement, once you can inspire, then there's all the other pieces of leadership that come into play, right? And that's being, getting people aligned to a vision, providing them clarity, layering on support. And as you do that, you need to be firm in your vision and then flexible in the execution, and give people autonomy, give people ownership, let them go, AJ, and execute and build out, and you support. And that's leadership. And I'm here to tell you that if people are ready to embrace that, the data is the data. You inspire and engage people, you increase employee engagement, you increase meaning at work, you are going to see increases on all of your profit and loss statements, as far as revenue, as far as profitability, and most importantly, as far as getting the customer experience right.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Customer experience is a total different story altogether. It's a sad story. Everyone is interested in the customer's money, but not his opinion, not his woes, not his forget about the satisfaction part. The customer is never able to reach the leaders or anyone. You only meet bots. How can you get your problem solved in such a situation? That is why I said it's a totally different story. Be that as it may, I want to understand from you about your company. You are the founder of 45 Degrees Leadership Development Consulting. Why 45 degrees? Why not 60 degrees? Why not 180 degrees? Why not 360 degrees?
That's a great question. And so where I live in the United States, I live in the great state of Wisconsin. Have you ever heard of Wisconsin, AJ?
Yes.
Yes. So we're right on Lake Michigan. It's one of the Great Lakes. Where I live, it's about 70 miles across the lake. I'm sorry I can't do kilometers for you, AJ, but we're a little bit different here in the States. So 70 miles across and hundreds of miles north and south. It is a massive, massive lake. And it's always been a part of my life. And it's always been right there to the east of me growing up in Wisconsin. And I was fortunate to race on a sailboat on Lake Michigan. And when you are on a sailboat and you are out there and you are completely at the mercy of Mother Nature and the elements, you feel the most powerful you've ever felt, while also feeling the most powerless as you've ever felt, depending on the conditions. And the key piece of sailing is to set your heading. And that's the direction that you are going to go. And you do that on a compass. And when you look at a compass, 45 degrees is straight northeast. When you look at your growth personally, when you look at the growth of an organization, you want every graph, every chart to head northeast. You want it to go up and to the right. That signifies growth. And that's what happens when you head 45 degrees. And so that's the name of the company, that in short is that I want to increase personal growth. And when you increase the growth of every individual, there's only one option for the whole team, AJ, and that's you're going to increase the growth of the entire organization, the entire enterprise, and you're going to move forward together.
Absolutely, Josiah. To sum it all, what are the few things that those people who actually want to go for heart-centered leadership, what are the few things that they can upfront remember what you say?
So the key takeaways today, at the root of it, is be kind. Be a good person. And if you can embrace that and understand that the people on your team want to be successful, people are inherently good. They want to show up. They want to add value. And so if you approach it with that mindset and you seek to connect first and then spend time to build chemistry and then share your competence and share your expertise, because you've risen the ranks because you are good at what you do. And so people want to know what to do. They want direction. They want support, but just lead with connection before you get to the competence every time. And it's as simple as an email. AJ, when I get an email, I want to respond right away. I want to answer the questions. I want to provide everything they need. And I do that. And then I go back up to the top and I say, hi, AJ, good morning. I'm so excited you reached out to me. And I have to specifically respond in that order because my natural reaction isn't to connect first. It's to solve a problem. And a lot of leaders are that way. That's why they've risen to leadership positions, is because they're doers. They conquer things. They solve issues. And so do whatever you need to do to set up the environment where you can connect first. Because when you connect and then bring your competence, you're going to inspire, you're going to engage, and you're going to elevate the performance of everybody on your team. But more importantly, you're just going to be a good person. And people will do anything to support, help, and assist a good person.
Absolutely. Absolutely. There is much to learn from you about all these things, Josiah. And I'm sure a lot of people would want to connect with you, learn from you, learn about you. And a lot of leaders perhaps will also want to learn from you about all those things through 45 Degrees Leadership Development Consulting. So what's the best way for them to do so?
The best way is on LinkedIn. If you follow Josiah Pledl or you connect with 45 Degrees Leadership, I post daily content on there, equipping you with knowledge on how to execute emotional intelligence. And it spans all different types of areas, from self-awareness, your mindset, to communication, to leadership. But there is a ton of value every single day in each post that I put out. And also, I have a website, 45degreesleadership.com, where you can go and click to engage now and provide your email address, because I will be releasing very shortly in the next month a course that people can purchase on their own on how to communicate to connect. And so sign up now so I have your email information and I can send you information to get on the waiting list so you are first in line when that course is released.
Wonderful. With this, it's a wrap on this very special edition of the KAJ Masterclass Live. Thank you so much indeed for joining us.
Thank you, KJ. It's been an honor to be with you.